All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. We'd love you to support this show. Please like, follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Your likes and subscription helps us to grow and attract interviews and content. So please retweet and share our posts. Your contributions are appreciated. All right, welcome to the show. We were just having a nice little chat about vermin prior to coming on air. Living in San Francisco, have a bit of a rat problem I'm dealing with, and having to bash the little bastards on the head with a T-ball training stick is not the way to start your day, but there we are. We do what we have to deal with vermin. AB, I don't think you've managed to stay up this late, have you? Ronnie Parker, Bill Phelps, Mike Onsalt, who else? Austin Newland, Opal Archive.
Hey, Todd.
Todd Deneau, or Denault,
Yes.
however you say that. And, of course, David Donnelly, the mighty David Donnelly. Good to see you all. I don't think there's much news in the KISS world this week. There is something that came across my news wire as a press release today, but I'm not going to report on it until someone else reports on it because it's that bad in terms of what it suggests is happening or possibly happening. So I will wait for someone braver than me to announce that, but I'm just doing that to tease your ears, tickle your whiskers. Yeah. We shall see. Hey, Roger Bernard, good to see you. Andrew as well. So, talking about not much going on in KISS world, we talk about the merchandise issue with KISS and the quality. Ken, you're wearing one of the newer T-shirts, but some of the Hotter Than Hell packages have started turning up in people's mailboxes, and there was a typo or a misprint on the back of the T-shirt with the song list. And today I got a not a press release, a sales notification from another partner with Epic Rights merchandising arm, Aerosmith. And it is, of course, celebrating the 45th anniversary of Night in the Ruts, which is a really good album, by the way. But they have commingled Night in the Ruts with Get Your Wings artwork.
Really?
And I am just holding up my hands going, it's happening everywhere. Yeah. And I don't think anyone cares. I don't think it's even lazy. They see imagery, they put it together with words, and they put $60 on it and sell it. Because
we're dumb enough to buy it.
Well, fans want to buy merch. Fans are still invested.
Even incorrectly made ones? Like, come on.
Well, some people don't know that it's going to be coming incorrect. The Hotter Than Hell T-shirts with the song listings. It bothers me no end. So to get away from the bother, we are going to be talking about, studio album covers today. And we're going to do a death match in one episode of the studio albums only. And Ken's going to tell you why we're doing this. Ken, why?
I had this subject topic tucked away for a long time because it was actually suggested. I'm not going to take credit for it, full credit for it. I'll take a little credit for it, but it was an episode like probably a year ago or so when we were starting the death matches for the songs and that sort of thing, and a guy named Grease Paint 74. Okay, he's out there. Posted on YouTube that he's a fan of death matches, and he wanted one done based on the covers, the album covers. So I thought, that's a good one. So I put that in my notes, put it away, and then eventually we got around to it. I figured, this is as good a time as any to do this one. So there you have it.
Yeah, well, you take.
Why not?
Who knew?
Yeah.
All right. So Mark, Ken, Julian are in the panel.
Who knew?
Get it
Mark
out
knows.
of the system, Mark, because we're going to get going. So I have printed out all the album covers, and we are going to get going with this. It is completely random. I've got my special cups. Black's going into pink. So we are just
going into pink.
Yeah. I haven't said that in a while. All right, so first album cover up. Lick It Up
Get up.
Ooh,
Lick
look at
it
that.
up.
versus.
Lick it.
Simple
I gotta
but
do
good.
notes and pull stuff out of the hat. Lick It Up versus. Oh dear God.
Dynasty.
Dynasty. Ooh.
Dynasty. Lick It Up
That's-
versus Dynasty.
Hmm.
Which is the better cover? And what's going to go into this thought process today for you, Mark? What is it about Kiss album covers that are going to kind of lead you one direction versus the other?
Well, for me, it's kind of simple. Memorable for me, like personally. For others, of course, it'll be random for other people what they consider to be a memorable cover, and also what I think if it had impact, like if it had an impact on the people in general, like I'll have to revert to my own circle of friends. So like it's almost like a first reaction memory, like when they first saw Lick It Up, what did they think when they first saw it, or you know what I mean, like that kind of reaction. Because they've all had reactions, believe me. I've had lots of my friends when they saw a cover going, "Oh my God, that's horrible," or "Why did they do that?" You know, and stuff like that. So that's my process. Do you want me to pick one first, or did you
Pick
just
one.
want my?
Yep, no,
Okay.
pick one.
So I'm gonna go with Lick It Up, mainly because of the fact that it was a cover that was very big at the time. What does Kiss look like? Blah blah. You know, we already kind of already knew what he looked like. They looked like, but to actually have it on a cover once and for all out there, you know, I think that it was a pretty impactful cover. And we're still talking about this album cover in various podcasts, even years later. That whole thing about, you know, was that really Vinnie Vincent? Was that just a mannequin and blah, blah, all that other kind of nonsense that we heard in these, you know, podcasts about stuff. So it was obviously very pressed into people's minds, this album cover. Don't get me wrong, I love Dynasty. It's like my top 5 record, but really it's just that to me, I've always looked at it as kind of like a phase 2 of the debut cover. You know, that's how I kind of always looked at that. So Lick It Up to me is a little bit more impactful for me.
All right, Ken, how are you figuring all this out today?
Well, we had we went way back. We had an episode on covers and what we thought of, or how we thought we might change some of them to make them better, or what we thought of them at the time. And this is an interesting one because Dynasty, we always thought they should have had that straight jacket kind of cover that that was intended, I think, until I think Ted Nugent had a straight jacket or whatever, and so on. But and the thing about Lick It Up is that was just very simple, but very, the right background and everything. It was just kind of perfect for them taking their makeup off. And with Gene, like I think Dennis Wilkes said, he stuck out his tongue. That's kind of like connects it with the prior,
not even hiding it tonight.
The prior, image of the band. Here comes one. So, it's a difficult one for me, kind of too, because of the classic Kiss. But I think we could have done better with that. So, I'm going with Lick It Up. I'm actually going with Lick It Up.
So we finally get there. So Lonnie,
so that.
Oh, Ken, you got your hotter than hell shirt on. Did they send you 2?
No, this is not the hotter than hell shirt. This is.
It's not.
This one's a first
debut.
album.
Yeah.
So I'm on the show for the first time in weeks, and I'm just taking it right off. I'm derailing the show immediately. But
Yeah.
The hotter than hell shirt that had like the track listing on the back, and it says "Strange" instead of "Strange Ways."
Uh-huh.
They sent me my replacement one, and it says "Strange."
Strange.
They sent me 2 bad ones.
Did you contact them?
Perfect. No, I didn't even contact them. And then the shirt was on my porch the other morning. I'm like, oh, great. They sent me my replacement.
So I wonder if they sent me one.
That's pretty good.
I wonder if they
same
sent me
shirt. Boom.
Kiss Online.
I'll have to look
Top quality
mine.
from order to door.
Quality assurance is really good.
Yes.
Well, good, Lonnie.
Stupid
Welcome
Aren't you
back.
proud you spent your money on Kiss
Oh.
product?
Hello,
We have-
everybody.
We have already kicked off the first picks today. Are going to be Lick It Up versus Dynasty, and you've got a Yingling. Oh my! I'm sitting here drinking Heineken, and you got
I'm
a
not
Yingling.
even hiding it tonight, boys.
So, Lonnie, Lick It Up or Dynasty, and how are you going? And so, firstly, how are you going to kind of base your picks today when it comes to album covers?
You know, it has to be like what strikes you. I'm gonna take aside the album itself. I'm gonna try to take aside personal feelings about my moment in time when I bought the album or this or that. You know, I'm trying to look at it very from that point of view of just the album cover itself and nothing else, nothing to do with the album, and putting everything else aside that's my
Very
game
nice.
plan here. Yeah.
So, what's your pick? Lick It Up or Dynasty?
Lick It Up or Dynasty? Well, I heard Ken pontificate about this when I signed on, and well, I think Lick It Up with the white background with with just the guys, and here they are, and nothing else. Is here they are unmasked, and all their unmasked glory, I guess you could say. But and Dynasty's cool with the four faces, very iconic with the four faces and the crooked Peter Criss makeup and all.
Yes.
But I think I am gonna go. I was originally gonna say Dynasty, but I think I am gonna go Lick It Up with it because I think it is so iconic of the non-makeup. Here we are, not hiding anything, just white background and Kiss dressed in black.
Very nice.
My vote doesn't matter. Gee, that's the first time recently that's.
Well, what is your vote?
I'm Dynasty. There's always been something special about this cover that I just like. That it kind of riffs off Beatles and the first album, and just the four guys on the cover arranged, and then learning that it had the straight jackets later was very cool. This thing is not symmetrically pleasing. This thing has a guy in pink with an ankh around his neck that stands out like a sore thumb. And everyone else, well, I don't think any of them really look cool. I mean, look at Paul's pose. It's absolutely atrocious. Gene is Gene.
It's totally Paul Stanley, though.
I know, but it's just so not.
Look at my Rolex.
It's so not love
foot
gun.
thing going on.
Yeah, he's got his foot thing. Exactly. So I always like Dynasty. So for what it's worth, I'm putting one in the originals column just for the sake of it. But Lick It Up is the winner. All right. So
Lick It Up moves on.
Lick It Up goes into the pink. And
Lick It Up.
Dynasty takes an early shower. Hopefully Dynasty is going to be the Jake Paul, and Lick It Up the Mike Tyson. I'm looking forward to that fight and seeing.
Oh yeah, tomorrow.
His ass fucking kicked. All right, next matchup is Rock and Roll Over versus.
Hot in the shade.
Do we have to do this?
Okay.
Yeah, Mark, do we have to do this? Get us started. Let's crank through these.
Well, I'm just going to say this right off the bat. I'm going to make a prediction that's going to be the early winner, in my opinion. Rock and Roll Over has always been one of the most iconic album covers that has ever been made. Every person I know who's even heard of Kiss knows that album cover. Oh, you mean the round one with those faces? Yeah, everybody knows that one right off the bat when you talk about Kiss. So that's going to be my vote. I'm going for Rock and Roll Over. I mean, Hot in the Shade, it's gotten beaten up enough. I'm not going to beat up on it any more than it's already been beat up. So,
yeah, it's pretty dire. Lonnie.
Well, we thought Black Diamond was going to win the song matchup, so you never know how it's going to shake out. So, but no, it's definitely Rock and Roll Over, and we can go through this round pretty quickly, I think.
Ken.
Hot in the Shade. No. Rock and Roll Over, of course. Yeah, Hot in the Shade is. I still don't understand the concept of that one.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Over is just one of the best album covers in the Kiss catalog, period. end of next.
Agreed.
No one's going to be edgy and say, well,
Edgy, God.
Artistically appealing. It's
Yeah.
right up there with that Mongolian death metal band that I really like. Next up, Monster versus First Against Last.
That's interesting.
So Kiss versus Monster, Ken.
Yeah, the Monster album cover is such a lazy, just a shot that you see the million times of them, kind of thing that they've done in photo sessions. It's just it was lazy. I think they could have done something else, something involving monsters or something.
Should have gotten Ken Kelly.
Yeah, exactly, when he was alive.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he's not. But yeah, first album for sure wins for me.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that monster cover almost looks like something that you could have used for like a greatest hits package more than like a studio album, you know. So there's not much thought in it. I agree, and I mean, what can we say about the debut? It's such a classic thing. Yes, it's a rip off of the Beatles record. Yeah, we all know all that stuff already. But I mean, it is what most people, when they first got into Kiss, well, back in the day, that was the introduction to it, and it was a pretty interesting cover if you think about it back in the day to see something like that. So I'm going to go with the debut for sure.
Lonnie.
Yeah, it's the debut album for sure. I agree that the Monster album covers very lazy, and like they talked about it for 10 minutes and said, "Oh, let's pick that photo and let's go to lunch."
Yeah.
You know, I think it was pretty quickly. So it's definitely a debut.
Yeah, debut for me, without a doubt. You know, they missed the boat. They'd gone back to Michael Doré for Sonic Boom, and obviously he'd done Rock and Roll Over. I really think they should have gone back to Ken Kelly. I believe he was still alive at the time.
Yeah.
And with it being Monster and with his cachet having come from kind of that artistic genre, you know, and been a big part of it. It was just
another big miss.
It was just like, here's Paul Stanley, the art director, dictating that it's going to be this stupid ass, you know, pointing at the camera 3D shit. So,
what's the name of the magazine? Was it Monster or Monsters or something? I mean, that he drew a lot for.
Famous Monsters?
Famous Monsters, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know if it is.
Something
All
like
right.
that. But anyway, someone knows.
Kiss moves forward and we move forward as well. And this one, where is that comment? I need this one because I've already... You think so? Because it's up next. Carnival of Souls versus... All right,
wow.
Todd, you still think so? Lonnie, Carnival
speaking of lazy efforts for album covers, here's Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
So one of the worst versus one of the most iconic album covers. So we can fly through this pretty quickly too. I think it's definitely Creatures.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I almost get the feeling that, you know, because they weren't going to release that record for a long time, that they almost got like a last minute memo across the desk. Guys, we're putting the album out. Where's that cover? Oh, we never made a cover. Well, get any picture. Come on, grab one. Here, just put the logo over it and that's it. It's done. Like, I guarantee that's what it kind of was like. And they put that out. Yeah, and it was just a terrible picture of these tokens. And okay, let's just get it out there and forget about it. Let's get back to the reunion, you know. And they put that out, and that was that. Creatures of the Night is such a great cover. I mean, look at how many different things they tried to do with that thing. You know, I mean, the glow in the dark eyes and this and that. I mean, it's such a great album cover. So Creatures all the way.
Ken?
Yeah, I got to go with Creatures, of course. Yeah, Carnival of Souls. I don't know. That's another one. It's just a head scratcher why they even went with that. Again, yeah, that was a laziness thing and the afterthought, you know, kind of just throwing it out there in the middle of while they were touring and makeup and stuff. So I was like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. They should have saved it like for the box set that came later on, that album. That would have been kind of interesting. Could have sold more box set copies doing that too.
It's a Creatures, right?
Thought.
Yeah.
So yes, Creatures, of course.
just checking. Yeah, Creatures are obviously. It's probably one of the standout Kiss album covers of the non-original era. I always thought that the photo is fine for what it was as a throwaway, get it out there release, but I really wish they had either used the flaming head or the zipper head, or done one for Japan and one for elsewhere. There are a couple of good concept pieces of ours, and neither of them made any sense anyway. It's just a little bit more interesting than the non-makeup band from what looks like a Metal Edge outtake. Here we go. Next one. Crazy Nights. Crazy Nights versus Crazy Shites, Psycho Circus. Yeah. So Psycho Circus versus Crazy Nights. You know what? I think a lot more design goes into Crazy Nights than Psycho Circus. Again, trying to be a 3D hologram cover and look like that. I like the one that they did later, just the curtains, but that's just as bad as Carnival of Souls. So this one has a lot more design to it, and I think it's actually pretty cool, even though Broken Glass is nothing new. It at least riffs off Paul Stanley's crack guitar. So Crazy Nights for me. Lonnie?
Yeah, it's definitely Crazy Nights. I mean, the Psycho Circus album cover is so horrible, and like we've talked about it 1,000 times on this show about how you had the opportunity to put those 4 iconic faces on an album cover for the first time since really Dynasty, or because you screwed up the Unmasked cover. We'll get to that cover, I'm sure, here in a little bit. But you had the opportunity to do that for the first time in so long, and you made the clown face bigger than anything else. And then it's not even a clear clown face because you copied off that Ozfest CD from a few years earlier. Kiss 4 years behind the trend again. So yeah, Crazy Nights.
Ken?
Yeah, Crazy Nights. I had the original Japanese CD release, which had that kind of bigger, an opening kind of curtain thing you'd open.
Yeah, the pop out red nose edition.
The import. Yeah, pop out red nose. Yeah, that didn't help it much either. So, yeah, Crazy Nights was more thought out and better idea.
Mark? Yeah, well, I mean, look, just to give a little bit of love to Psycho Circus, I remember when it was announced that this thing was, there was so many great possibilities that one could have thought of in their mind of what this album cover was going to look like. And to get what we got, I mean, I did get the one that had the, that what's that called when you can move it and it does all that shit there? Lenticular. There you go. I did get one of those covers. So I thought that was okay. But overall, I just thought it just kind of was disturbing, like how it looked when you did that. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, again, I think Lonnie hit it on the nose. When you get the guys back in the band, why not just put them on the front cover? It probably would have looked a lot better, right? Than having a random image. Put the band on.
All right, that's enough. That's enough love.
So, but yeah, but anyways, I think basically that it could have been a lot more than it was. Not that Crazy Nights is any better. I mean, that's still just that's also a hack job as well. But I think that it's still slightly better. So I'm going to go with Crazy Nights.
Sorry, Mark, I couldn't resist. Yeah, Ken's trying to show off that damned
Japanese
edition.
version.
It was cool. I mean, it had nice little springs in it that make the leaves pop up and a wraparound obi and all that. But it was still basically, it was lipstick on a pig. All right, next up is Lonnie's gonna love this one. Revenge versus Animalize. I think about the same effort went into both of those.
Kind of difficult, this one.
Yeah, I think someone actually had to lay out all those furs in order to make Animalize cover. So more effort clearly went into that.
I said than Paul's carpets.
Lonnie, it's Revenge. You got to start with you.
Yeah, it's Revenge. It is the best, in my opinion, and I'm not just saying it because of my love for Revenge. It's the best, and because we talked about it a few weeks ago. It's the best album cover that doesn't feature the band, in my opinion. We all kind of run around the table
front,
not that long ago. So It's not great, but it's better than Animalize.
Yeah, right now it's a runaway in the viewer participation section with Revenge. Pretty much, the last pick was very divisive. So, Mark, are you going to agree with Lonnie or not?
Well, yeah, I think I'm going to go with it. I mean, because Revenge, I think it has all the things that they were aiming for. They did that big, let's go and do a big marketing research thing and see what the fans like. And, the young people really thought that, gunshots and all that stuff looked really cool and metal and stuff like that. So make a really cool looking heavy metal type album cover and the people will buy it. Well, I mean, I think it looks good. I mean, definitely much better than Animalize. I mean, Animalize is just, I don't know what they were thinking with that cover, but it's definitely much more impactful to me. So I'm definitely going to go Revenge.
Ken?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Revenge too. I think I guess it's supposed to represent kind of a toughness kind of way. It's like a side of a military
Battleship or tank
kind
or
of
something.
aircraft.
People have taken lots of shots at you, but you've not been shot out of the sky. You're still flying.
There you go. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Okay.
Well thought.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think that's the better one. Revenge for me. Again, Animalize is just kind of. Again, I think it's a lazy cover.
Oh God, it's my turn. Hold on, checking my email. Animalize.
Really?
In honor of Daniel not being here, so I'm going to go with that.
You're
No,
gonna give it more love.
Revenge. Like I just said with my interpretation of what it means, but Animalize and you do a bunch of fur pelts. I mean, Animalize. Come on, Revenge. I always thought the back image picture that they used on the Every Time I Look at You CD single looked really badass as a band photo. That would have been one of the better things to show Revenge. Here we are, we're leather. Gene's got a goatee, so we're edgy, and that.
But the Animalize with the shirts or the other ones where with the fingernails getting scratching through the.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a better cover than what they gave us. They should have done that instead.
Yep. So Revenge goes through. Yeah, it's not going to last, so I don't care. Zero snark. Here we go. Next matchup. Got a laptop, got a computer, got a notepad, and I got no beer. Dress to Kill. Up against
Dress to Kill.
Boom.
Sonic
Boom.
Sonic Boom versus Dress to Kill. Ken. Hey, Joey.
Yeah, Sonic Boom. It was a nice attempt. Another rock and roll over. I think the problem is Paul Stanley ruined the cover. That would have been better had he allowed Michael Doré to do it the way he wanted to do it. Yeah, so Dress to Kill is kind of it's iconic, that shot, New York, standing on the corner. Sure, they're in the suits, which is interesting. That makes it even more, better in a way that they're in suits and not in their normal, stage outfits. So, yeah, I had to go with Dress to Kill.
Okay, Lonnie.
Yeah, it's Dress to Kill. Sonic Boom was to steal what Ken said, it was a decent attempt to try to recreate something, but Dress to Kill is so iconic that Sonic Boom just pales in comparison.
Get that right.
It's not even close.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, Dress to Kill is such an iconic cover. I mean, I've always thought of it that way. I always thought it was a fantastic looking cover. And for Opal Archive, those shoes are called clogs. I remember it very well because my sister had a pair of those for some reason. But yeah, they're very uncomfortable from what I understand. So Dress to Kill has always been a a cover that's been burned in my memory for a long time, since long back. So I think it's much more impactful a cover than anything that Sonic Boom is trying to project. So Dress to Kill it is.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Dress to Kill. There's so much I do like about Sonic Boom, but it's so much like someone who thinks they're an artistic designer sticking their thumb in, and it's got to have this, it's got to have that, so it ends up being a kitchen sink of artistic kind of theory. So it doesn't really work because it's not really it doesn't have artistic integrity, because it's got all these, well, we got to do this, well, what about that, and what about this? So it's really a neutered artist being directed, like a lemming.
They tried too hard. They
overthought it. It's
yeah.
beautiful in terms of its color. And if anyone got the glissé prints or whatever you say, they're absolutely gorgeous. The palette is, absolutely brilliant. But as an album cover, it's just pretentious as hell with all those artistic elements that come into play. So Dress to Kill is just kind of simple. And it stands out. It pops. Everyone goes to that corner. People don't create memes of themselves looking like the Sonic Boom cover. So, Dress to Kill it is. And I do like Joey, or whoever it was, Ronnie Parker. The suggestion about the cover photo being in color would be great. I think that would look great as a picture disc.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
All right, next matchup.
Next year.
Hot. Hotter than hell
She's
against a door.
A
A closed door. Oh,
moving on.
So
or against a hand.
Yeah. Knockers versus hell.
Well,
and what's it going to
there
be?
were the knockers that I liked. Then.
I like the Elder, but I'm not going to choose the cover because it's just, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Hotter than hell. Easy win.
Hotter than hell. Easy. No, I totally agree.
Hotter than hell.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, if the knockers were the kind of knockers that I like, then maybe that would have been a bit different. But it's I don't like door knockers. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if it was that door and there was a hand reaching for them, then that album cover would be canceled now. So
that would have been a controversial cover for sure. But I've always said it before. I definitely like Hotter Than Hell. I think it's probably at one time. I think it has been my favorite album cover from Kiss. Period. So it's definitely a win for me on this one. Hotter Than Hell for sure.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, they had some good photo shoots in the period, and they ended up being used on the Killers cover. I mean, that looked pretty cool. The Japanese overlay cover looked excellent.
They could have done that, but they didn't.
All right, here we have a classic matchup: Love Gun.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Unmasked.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a district.
That's a pretty good.
Not too difficult yet.
Yeah, let's go back to Mark.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really love Unmasked. I'll admit it. I love that album, but we are talking about the covers, and I think it's smart to take it the way Lonnie was saying earlier. Like we have to not think about the music, not think about anything like that would impress an alternate opinion beside just the cover. So if it's just strictly based on the cover itself, then I do think that Love Gun is a much superior cover. I love the way Ken Kelly painted that. I mean, what can you say badly about that cover? I mean, it's got all kinds of women on there, scantily clad. They're standing there all looking all muscular and, six-pack jean, which was like probably incorrect for that time period, but still it looked very good, that cover. I've always enjoyed that cover. So, but Unmasked, the younger Mark maybe liked the sort of comic book aspects of it because I do collect comic books, but it's not anywhere as close as being as good as Love Gun. So Love Gun for me all the way.
Lonnie.
Love Gun, and I think Love Gun could win it all. I know Mark thinks that Rock and Roll could win it all, but Love Gun has potential to go all the way.
I agree.
Is an easy decision here.
Certainly seems to be that way, and And the audience response, Ken?
I still say the unmasked cover stinks. So
Very
yeah.
Very good, Ken.
Yeah.
We're proud of you.
Oh, Jesus.
That's
That's
even
two.
better, Mark. Very good, Mark.
God, sorry, guys.
Okay. Yeah, Love Gun for sure.
Yeah, you know
Great
what?
cover.
It's powerful and it's attractive.
Yep.
I love the comic concept of Unmasked, but you don't have a comic panel saying "I still say they stink" on your freaking band cover,
That was
your
the
album. It's a
big
little bit.
mistake.
It's a huge mistake. Whereas Love Gun is just a perfect render. It doesn't have too much. They didn't go back and add anything to it. So next round, Asylum.
Ooh.
Asylum defeats Destroyer.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Laugh at that
surprised. You know, Asylum is the winner. Thank you all for coming. All right, Lonnie. Asylum versus Destroyer.
It's Destroyer. Destroyer has potential as Love Gun. So, Destroyer's so iconic, and I know you guys love Asylum, and Asylum's good, but the cover's bad, and it's the perfect album of judging it by the cover is Asylum because it doesn't get the love it should. But Destroyer's definitely the winner when we're talking covers. Even Mark's got to agree with that. Mark.
I'm really curious about this. Is Mark the cover?
Mark has a set. Mark, you said a minute ago you got to put the music aside.
Loves Asylum.
Has nothing to do with Ezrin.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, Esmond didn't paint
if it was any other cover, because look, Asylum is weak. We all know that it's very poorly done. It's one of those situations where, as Kiss fans, we put the hand to the forehead and said, "What the hell were they thinking with that cover?" But I mean, I'll be clear here, okay? Even the cover of Destroyer would never sat very well with me. I was always hoping that there was like another panel that was right after the one that you see that where they actually see them falling off of that mound, like because it looks like they're like falling anyways. And that, like, if you look, maybe they disappear because they fell off that hill because they look at their footing. Their footing is terrible on that. 1 foot in the air, it's hardly standing on the hill there. You know, who stands like that? This is terrible cover. Absolutely terrible cover. But, you know, in Ken Kelly's memory, okay, I will vote for Destroyer, but I mean, even the cover was weak for that album. So they could have done a much better. Wow. I think if you would have stood them a little bit more, like if they're supposed to be superheroes, why didn't they stand more like, you know, like look at how they stood in Love Gun, you know, this one, they're like, whoa, like, looks like they're ready to fall over like the Three Stooges on that, you know, come on. So, but it is a better cover than Asylum.
Mark doesn't even believe what he's saying here. That's the first time I've ever heard the Destroyer album been classified as weak. Mark doesn't even believe that. Come on.
Oh my God.
I could just hardly believe that.
That was a hot take from Mark.
Ken.
Okay. Destroyer. Destroyer destroys Asylum. There you have it.
I don't know, Grego. I mean, I know we see eye to eye on a lot of things, but come on.
Doing the jig.
All right, so Destroyer clearly, even as much as I love Asylum and the imagery and the colors and all that, I'm not an idiot. I'm not suggesting that Mark is. I'm just saying I am not an idiot. I kind of think
you are.
So
wow, that was hurtful, Julian.
Oh, I'm not suggesting you are. We all got our own opinions. Okay, here we go.
Oh, shoot.
So what I'm going to do for the second round, because obviously 20 goes down into 10, which will go down into 5. I say we just throw the winner straight back into the hat and keep doing matchups. What do you think, Ken? Or do you want me to split it up for one more round before it gets down to 5?
Do what you want. You're the boss.
All right. Let's split it. Let's split it up one more time. All right, here we go. So 10 will become 5. Crazy Nights back up for its second round matchup against Lick It Up versus Crazy Nights, people. What's it going to be?
Okay.
Mark.
Well, you know what? I'm going to still stand on what I said about Lick It Up earlier. I think that it was a pretty momentous album cover for the time period. You know, the big thing about them taking their makeup up, blah, 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 like I all said earlier. I think it all still stands when it comes to this. I still think that while, you know, Crazy Nights isn't the worst cover we've seen, I still don't think it's as strong as Lick It Up.
Okay.
All right, so Lick It Up, huh? Lonnie.
Yeah, Crazy Nights is good, but I still stand with what I said about Lick It Up earlier too. I love the band. Here they are with the white background, you know, no bones about it. You know, just here we are. So yep, it is Lick It Up for me.
Ken.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with Lick It Up. Though I think Crazy Nights is kind of it was a cool idea. I think just the simplicity of Lick It Up, it just worked. So
nearly everyone in the audience is going with Lick It Up as well. Joey Middleton, thank you. Crazy Nights. I'm going Crazy Nights on this. This has way more artistic elements to it. Is more pleasing. Look at those guys. They're not even the same height. They're out of symmetry.
Why do you hate the Lick It Up album cover? That's twice you voted against it.
Yeah, because what has gone up against that is not pleasing. That is not balanced.
Julian.
You know, the pink guy on the end, you know, the tweed jacket that Paul Stanley's wearing, the jean jacket there is nothing about that. That could be four bums off the street put up against a white background.
Four bums off the street.
Whereas this,
you're gonna rename the album Four Bums Off the Street.
So I lose this argument, and I'm fine with losing it because I stood up for Bruce Kulick, who stands up for that era as well. That one was for you.
Okay. Very true.
Fair enough.
All right. Everyone gets to have a hot take, even me. Dress to Kill. Against. This is going to get ugly. This whole idea. Oh, shit. Dress to Kill versus the debut. That could be tough. And I defer to Ken. Ken, tell us the answer.
The answer is going to be the debut album. Even though originally I thought they were a bunch of clowns on the first album cover when I first saw it. I think it's better because Kiss, you know, is misleading, kind of, the Just to Kill with the suits and all that stuff. So I'll go with the debut.
Really? I'm surprised. Mark?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Dress to Kill because, like I said before, I think that album cover, it has been solidly in my memory for a long time. It was one of those ones, again, that my sister kind of introduced me to, and I always thought was kind of cool, that whole shot in the city. And, you know, again, that sort of imagery was very odd with that suit and with the suits on and stuff like that. I've always thought it was very impactful, especially to a young Mark. So I'm going with that one.
Which one? DTK?
Yeah, Dress to Kill.
DTK.
All right, Lonnie.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Dress to Kill also. Just and surprise someone has said it yet. Mainly the fact that Peter Criss's makeup is terrible on the first album cover. So I'm going with Dress to Kill.
Because he didn't do it.
Yeah. Maybe for no other reason than that. I mean,
I agree.
I love the suits also though, and it's such an iconic look. But if Peter just had his regular Peter Criss makeup on there, maybe I'd be voting differently. But that's kind of the tie.
Clogs are so rock and roll though.
Hey. All right.
Hey, it's all borrowed clothes. So I'm going Dress to Kill as well for the same reason as Lonnie. The makeup issue, the fact that it's riffing off Meet the Beatles, and this is something that establishes their own identity. If it had gone up against Hotter Than Hell, I probably would have gone with Hotter Than Hell for the design that goes into that as well. There's way more design that goes into outsourcing doing your makeup for yourself. And they're both very cool album covers nonetheless. So Dress to Kill goes through. Sorry, debut album, but you didn't get celebrated for your 50th anniversary by the band either, so we can abuse you too. All right, next up is going to be Creatures of the Night versus Rock and Roll Over.
Oh.
This one is going to hurt.
Hmm.
Who am I going to hurt first? Lonnie.
Thanks. It is painful either way.
No ties.
Yeah. Who the hell are you talking? Because I love both album covers, and they're both so iconic. They're both like you see people in a Kiss T-shirt. You can see that Creatures of the Night or that Rock and Roll Over album cover because they're both so great. But I'm gonna go Rock and Roll Over. Reluctantly, gonna go Rock and Roll Over. It's very tough.
Mark.
Yeah, it is. This is one of the more difficult ones again, for sure. But I think I'm gonna go the same way as Lonnie with this one because again, that album cover is just so burnt in my brain again. And I think, like I said before, most people, even the general Kiss fans, know that album cover very, very well. That round one. I know that it's an iconic one for most people too. So I'm going for that one. Absolutely going for that one. Rock and Roll.
What's that one? Rock and Roll Over. Thank you. Yeah. Ken.
Yeah, I got to go with Rock and Roll Over with the saw blade. And, it's just the whole thing about it is cool. And each guy had, one guy fire and the other one, the eye, stuff coming out of the eyes and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it was well thought out cover and well done. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really good. So Rock and Roll Over. Though I do love Creatures of the Night album cover. That's a really good one.
Yeah, we love all of these. These are Kiss albums.
Yeah, we like
They're all fucking perfect, at one point or the other. You know what?
To a degree, yeah.
I might just drop that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Creatures of the Night is like the first Kiss album redone in blue. I'm trying to say it like Nigel from Spinal Tap. Let's just do the first album cover again, but this time in blue. I never knew that at the time I became a fan. It was the 85 cover for me. That was Creatures of the Night as far as I knew. I had no clue. Did not know. Completely ignorant. Rock and Roll Over. Again, I talk about how the design and colors drew me to albums and kind of picking up the back catalog. So it's Rock and Roll Over for me. As much as I love that blue, and I never loved this album as much as when I discovered this cover in Kuala Lumpur, living out there in '87, and going into a record stall in the middle of like just some business district there, and they had one of the Singaporean Malaysian copies, and it was so vividly cobalt blue. And it was so shiny and glossy and it felt heavy. It was one of the most glorious records I've ever owned. And that was the first time I really experienced that cover. But Rock and Roll Over. All right. Revenge. Shame it can't go up against Hot in the Shade. Get through another round. Instead, it's going up against Lonnie.
Love Gun.
It's Love Gun for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna. We're not talking about songs here. We're talking about album covers, and Love Gun is almost as good as it gets, maybe as good as it gets. So, easy pick, Love Gun.
Love Gun, because it's iconic.
Okay.
Ken.
Yes, definitely agree. Love Gun. Yeah, easy win. There's no comparison between that and Revenge. So, yeah.
Yeah, because one of them took some effort.
Great cover.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up, Love Gun is a vote for me as well.
Okay, David, have you given us another facial twitch before we continue? No. All right. Destroyer versus
Weak.
Oh,
Hotter than
okay.
hell.
Oh no.
Destroyer.
That's
no.
This is probably one of the toughest ones now.
Hotter than hell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write this one down. Mark, get us started.
honestly, and I can qualify this. If you don't believe me, just rewind this back to the first round and listen to what I said. Okay.
Weak is what he said.
Weak. No. Basically, no. Basically, I've said that for 95% of the time I've been a Kiss fan, "Hotter Than Hell" has been my favorite album cover like period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've even liked it better than Love Gun, believe it or not. You know, I've always loved the whole Japanese text on there where their names were, the way it was laid out, everything. I've always loved this album cover. And when they did the reissue of it in 2014 and they made the silver really nice again and it looked really fantastic when they reprinted it, I was a very happy camper. So I much to your surprise, I'm going to be going with Hotter Than Hell on this one.
I thought you'd find a reason to not go with Destroyer, so I'm not disappointed. Ken, you got your deluxe vinyl. Did you get the foil cover version of this?
I didn't get it yet. They haven't shipped that one yet.
Oh
No, just the
shame.
T-shirts.
That's going to be probably.
I'm sure that looks absolutely.
It's going to be cool when we get it. Yeah,
if you get it. So, what's your pick between Destroyer and Hotter Than Hell?
It's not bent.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Destroyer, barely. Though I do like the Hotter Than Hell cover, but I always kind of gravitated to more of the comic book kind of, hero kind of stuff. So Destroyer wins for me.
Lonnie.
I do like Hotter Than Hell. It is really good. I agree with Mark. It's really cool. It made me think, and I think that was the band's intention, that they were big in Japan already, or something to that effect, what they were going for. But Destroyer is so iconic, and I'm going with Destroyer. There's no doubt about it.
Poor David.
There it is.
Okay, so you want Destroyer. Okay. I'm going Hotter Than Hell, and it's nothing against Destroyer.
I'm going to say
because I went for that design in the catalog before I went for Destroyer. I went for Hotter Than Hell because it stood out for the same reasons that Rock and Roll Over did. And that means that we're going to have to go to the audience to break this tie. And to these comments,
let's see.
What do we got here?
Come on, Austin, where you at? You got to vote.
Well, we've got David Donnelly. All right, so we got. Well, the music doesn't count because this is all about the cover. Hotter Than Hell, Hotter Than Hell, Destroyer, Hotter Than Hell, Destroyer, Hotter Than Hell, Destroyer, 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 Destroyer. I'd say Destroyer is going to go through on the tiebreak. Thank you, audience, for chiming in and bringing us through. All right, we are into sudden death now. Every album cover is going to go straight back into the same cup, and it means it can get drawn against
okay.
the next one because there's only 5 left.
It's getting crazy now.
Here we go. Crazy, crazy nights. Here we go. Let's see. Love Gun.
Uh-oh.
Taking out a big boy early. Rock and Roll Over.
Wow.
Oh.
Mark.
I'm still going with Rock and Roll Over. I still think it's overall more iconic in my
Wow. There it is again. How many times can we say before the show's over?
Yeah, if everyone had to take a shot every time someone said iconic, David, you're absolutely right. Everyone would be in hospital. Ken, is that the response to the question?
Is that your vote, Ken?
That's my response. Yeah, I'm going to go with Love Gun. Love Gun was probably the first regular studio album I got after Alive 2 and Double Platinum. I think I got Love Gun, and then that I stared at that thing. The outfits they had on there and the whole bit, even though it's painted, of course. The superhero muscle kind of thing. It's just like cool, man. Love Gun for me.
All right, 1 each. Lonnie.
I'm going Love Gun. I agree with Ken. Love Gun was one of the early albums I had. And I can't go. I can't even say that. I can't even say that because I just love staring at that album cover. I'm kind of with Ken. Like, they just look so. They look like superheroes, and they just look so powerful, and just like they just look like gods almost standing on that little stage. So, yeah, for me, it is Love Gun.
Rock and Roll Over for me.
Oh,
The design, the spirograph, the
go.
artistic elements that go into that versus just four stiffs standing there. They're great. Both of them are
standing there.
Both of them are core Kiss covers. Those 3 albums in a row are just, the greatest Kiss.
What's the better Julian album cover? 4 stiffs standing there or 4 bums off the street?
Well, ain't too much difference between Dress to Kill and Love Gun, and but Rock and Roll Over. So we gotta go to the audience,
and it's it's majority Rock and Roll Over. You look at the whole thing. There's
Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun. Where's Ringo? Ronnie Parker, Bernie, Michael. Wow. Okay, Wendy O. Williams gets a vote.
Rock and Roll Over. Rock and Roll Over.
Turge. Why do we insist on torturing me? Because we can. Love Gun, Opal Archive, Andrew with the ouch, David Donnelly.
Coming in strong.
You can't Twitch. We didn't say iconic, even if they're both iconic.
Come on, really?
Joey, Love Gun, Roger Bernard. I think Rock and Roll Over has it. Who agrees? Everyone except Ken Kelly.
Everyone except me and Ken.
Okay, you guys.
It's if it was me, I would have said tie. Seriously, but
there are no ties. Here we go.
They're both great.
What's that ink blot over my head? That's my fake ass background keeps fading in and out because I have a fan behind me. So
otherwise, you'd see a bunch of rats running around.
Yeah, you'd see my bookcase, which no one wants to see. It's just like an ego thing. I worship it every night. All right.
What's really going on over there?
Dress to Kill. Straight back out. Rock and Roll Over versus Dress to Kill.
Okay, let's be a little bit easier.
Ken.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Over beats Dress to Kill. Pretty easy in my opinion.
Mark.
Rock and Roll Over for sure.
Lonnie.
Yeah.
Do you need some more time?
No, I don't. Rock and Roll Over wins that one. Dress to Kill is really good, but Rock and Roll Over is better.
I don't know. Dress to Kill does have an embossed cover. No, Rock and Roll Over.
Embossing. It's embossed.
That's perfect.
I have to vote for it.
All right. Sorry, Dress to Kill.
Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, we hear you great.
Yeah, please put on.
Okay, no, because my internet's been fucking up here a bit. So
let's find out. Mark, can we still hear you?
Your internet looks
yes,
working perfectly today.
Destroyer.
Okay.
Versus
Destroyer.
4 stiffs on the street.
4 stiffs. Oh my god.
Nice.
Oh man.
Well, Lonnie, what's it gonna be?
Destroyer
or Lick It Up?
No, it's definitely Destroyer. I voted for Look It Up twice, but I can't do it again against the Destroyer album cover. The Destroyer album cover is way too good. It's so freaking iconic. I can't not vote for it.
All right, Mark, which iconic album cover are you voting for?
Well, I mean, come on. After all the things I talked about, I'm going to say this though. This time, I am going to go Destroyer because, in comparison to Lick It Up, I mean, Lick It Up is important for many reasons, but we're just talking about covers here, and it is kind of bland when you put it next to this Destroyer. I mean, it's kind of plain, even though, like I said, they look like they're tumbling off a hill on Destroyer, but it still looks much better than Lick It Up overall. I mean, it makes Lick It Up look kind of bland, so I'm going to go with Destroyer.
Ken?
Yeah, I'm going to cut Mark's answer out and put it in another episode where we're talking about the music. and the Destroyer's going to beat
Right.
out, Anyway,
Mix that up.
Kiss FAQ 60 minutes version. Anyway, all right. Yeah, come on, Destroyer. No doubt.
I'm going to look it up.
Though
Because both of them are 4 stiffs on the straight. But one's in color.
You like the color, right?
No, I'm joking. Destroyer, obviously.
Of course.
You've dog lick it up the whole time.
Yeah, well, now it's gone. All right. Which means that the final 2, not surprisingly, are Destroyer versus Rock and Roll Over.
Okay.
And there was no guarantee that these were both going to arrive here. That's the whole point of these quick fire death matches, is you never know what matchups you're going to get early on.
I did guarantee.
Well, okay, Mark, you're right again.
Oh boy,
that's nice. You're iconic.
I am. Yeah.
So we'll let you go first because you're always right.
Okay. Well, hey, I didn't say I was always right. I just said that my early prediction was that was going to be in the final, right, and possibly the winner. So in order to keep my prediction correct, I am going to go with Rock and Roll Over. I mean, I've been consistent with it through this whole contest, and I've said from the very beginning, to me, it has always been the example, the gold standard of what a Kiss album cover should look like. Rock and Roll Over.
I think you've also never missed an opportunity to vote against Destroyer, personally, but
we'll never know, though. Now,
one more shot.
Well, it's hard to debate that when it's up against Rock and Roll Over, isn't it? Because both of them are really outstanding album covers. Lonnie, what's your pick going to be for this?
My pick.
And are you going to be as consistent as Mark?
Maybe. My pick is going to be Destroyer. I've loved that album cover for as long as I've been a Kiss fan. And it is, I think it's the greatest depiction of the band. It's printed everywhere. I mean, it's more, it's, you see that image of the 4 of them on so many pieces of merchandise and all over. And I think at the time when it came out, it was actually the perfect album cover for them, for where they were. Ken Kelly did a great job. For me it's Destroyer. I'm probably gonna lose, but for me it's Destroyer. Mark's never been more disappointed in me. Wow, you son of a bitch! Out of nowhere, he just
sucks.
off the top rope. That asshole.
Wow, that was good.
He knows I love him.
Oh, good to see you, Andrew. All right, Ken, what's it gonna be? Destroyer or Rock and Roll Over?
Yeah, I remember my friend showed me the Rock and Roll Over album cover, and then playing the first song off it, and that the whole experience, and just seeing that cover and like, wow, that's everything. That's so cool looking. So I have to go with the poses on the Destroyer cover. It's kind of bothered me in a way, in a way, a little goofy.
It's like, what the hell was that?
Ace is kind of
like they're falling off a hill, like Mark says. Is that what
falling off the mountain? Anyway, so I'm gonna
vindicated.
I'm gonna go with Rock and Roll Over.
All right, Lonnie, your pick was what?
Destroyer.
I said Destroyer.
Mark, you were Rock and Roll Over because you're consistent.
Yeah.
Ken's Rock and Roll Over, and I'm Rock and Roll Over because I'm gonna follow Mark's lead of consistency and just remember that it was this album cover that drew me to the next Kiss album to get for my collection before Destroyer. It's as dumb as that. These are all great album covers. Dennis Wollock, who was in the house from Alive, actually he was in the house from the very first album, but he outsourced the photography to a different person, and he stayed all the way up. His last album was Crazy Nights, and then Mitchell Canner, I think, took over for Shits or Smash Hysteria Hits and Hot in the Shade, and then it was all kind of downhill from there. Once they got rid of the artwork, there's not been a really good cover since. So Dennis Wollock is the winner. through all of this. Ken Kelly is the winner. Michael Doré is the winner. I mean, all of these album covers are absolutely outstanding. Someone loves them, whether it's Lick It Up, where Strega was telling us, what it was like to be 13 years old and the importance of that. Daniel may have said something similar about Animalize. I say something similar about Asylum, but obviously Common Sense did prevail in that matchup. Everyone's got that entry point of seeing the first Kiss album cover as a fan and what it means to them. So they're all great. Just like all the Beatles albums covers are the same from that perspective. And it's not the same for other bands. For me anyway, Rolling Stones or Aerosmith don't have that kind of, importance attached to the album covers like those two bands do. Kiss is a very visual band. They've had some very visual covers. They've had some god-awful ones as well. But today, Rock and Roll Over reigns supreme. Anyone surprised by that pick, Lonnie?
No, I don't think so. I think it's very agreeable that Rock and Roll Over could be, the favorite. So I had to give my love to Destroyer because for the same reason you guys gave your love to Rock and Roll Over. It's something that drew me in.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
But no, no qualms with Rock and Roll Over winning this contest.
Mark, I think you called it, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe Destroyer would win it, to be completely honest with you. But I always thought that was those two I thought were the ones at the end that were going to be battling it out. I thought.
No, and it was so as it was written, as it was. Ken, surprised by that?
No, not really. I mean, that was a toss-up for me anyway. For me, it was like Love Gun or Rock and Roll Over and Destroyer right behind it for me. But yeah, it's not a surprise.
Anyway, Grease Paint 74. Thank you for the topic, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out as an alternative to my suggestion for this week. Thank you to everyone who's joined us live today for chiming in with your votes. I'm glad we were able to have some tiebreakers that your votes actually counted. But you were here, you voted, so you got to speak, and maybe it didn't turn out how you hoped, but that's the way these things go sometimes. But for now, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and we shall see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.